Welcome to Black Tie Optional.
I'm Sydney.
I'm Colleen.
Let's get into it.
Learning to manage expectations from my end and their end was the hardest learning curve. You have to. In order to grow, you have to let go of some kind of control.
How did you manage?
I cried a lot.
Welcome back to Black Tie Optional. I am so excited to have Kait on today. I feel like we're going to talk about so many things in the wedding industry because you have really put your hand in a lot of different things. You have so much expertise, and I am so excited to everything today.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to let you kick it off.
Perfect. I'm Kait with NWA Photo Booth, formerly known as Kait Jackson Photo, but we're going to lay that bad boy down for a little while.
So how was that? You were a photographer in the wedding world. How was that transitioning? Like, did you see there's a need for this and that you were like, ooh, I'm going to do it? Like, what was your inspiration?
That's a great question. Okay. So I'm a big podcast listener. So I was actually listening to a podcast. I have this idea in my head that I need 7 streams of revenue.
I mean,
okay.
It's like the entrepreneur in heart.
Yes. And I heard this word photo booth because this guy that I was listening to was a wedding photographer. Okay. And I was like, oh, photo booth. Mm-hmm. I don't know when the last time I saw one of those was. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just started researching it from there. And this was in 2020, like early 2020.
Okay.
And I just started my photography career at the exact same time. So I was already like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
So that's how it started. Podcasting, listening to a podcast is just kind of where the idea of a photo booth was born.
Okay. So did you just like dabble in it, or did you just jump in and you like bought all the things, like you were like full force with it, or what?
So I went full force in, I guess, research.
Okay.
Found a lot of companies. A lot of them were around the same price, so that didn't bother me.
Okay.
Once I understood the price, that's whenever I really went in full force, and I found the company that I work with now. The only reason that I went with them is because of their customer service.
Okay.
Customer service is so important in
Any industry.
Every industry. Yeah. And I bought the photo booth first, and that included you needed to buy an iPad. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do digital only.
Yeah.
So I immediately bought a printer, which is about $1,800 on top of everything.
Wow. Okay.
So I would say I went in full force in the most minimalistic way that you can.
Yeah.
It was about a $9,000 investment.
Okay. So, I mean, that's still like a good chunk of change though, to just like
jump in full force and say, hey, I'm going to do this. Yeah.
So did you notice at first it was mainly like your couples you were already going to the wedding, or like, did you just immediately like, okay, I need help. Like this person needs to go to this wedding over here.
It was still part of Kait Jackson Photo. Like it wasn't even its own entity. It was, hey, you're booking me as your photographer. You also need this.
Okay.
So it was just kind of like a
package
deal. Super cheap to add on.
Yeah.
Lucky ducks out there. Yeah. You lucky ducks.
You got me when I was good. Yeah.
It finally hit me, I guess maybe like 6 months later, that this could be so much more if it was not part of Kait Jackson Photo. So really, I guess I just targeted Kait Jackson Photo clients in the beginning, which granted did probably hinder the growth.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So at that point when you're like, okay, I'm going to go big or go home and like start spreading my wings in this, did you have to hire someone for help? Like how did you manage?
I cried a lot.
Honestly.
Like I'm just gonna be real.
Yeah.
No, I had this pact, I guess you would say, with my husband of whenever my small business income surpasses your salary, you're gonna quit your job.
Which is awesome.
Because corporate America was just killing him. And I know it's great for some people.
Yeah.
But it finally got there. He quit his job and I was like, come work with me. That was a lot of fun while it lasted. I know you and your husband work together. I think that's awesome. But I just know me and my husband did not need to work together after a certain amount of time.
No, I mean, everyone's different. You know what I mean? Like there are some couples that are like, to save my marriage, we cannot work together.
Absolutely. Like I'll be the first one. I'm glad Matt found another job.
We love you, Matt.
We love you, Matt, very much, but can't work with you.
You're growing this business. Now, when did cotton candy kind of start? Was that before?
Oh, so Lemon and Puff.
Yes.
I also own Lemon and Puff. That came in 2021, I think. I just remember my son was about 9 months old. We were on vacation. I saw on Facebook that somebody had this cute cotton candy business, and I was so upset that my entrepreneurial mind did not think about it first. And so I kept watching her business grow, and I kept watching it grow, and it's adorable. And finally, I just noticed she had stopped posting for about 6 months.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm just going to randomly message her.
Yeah.
And say, hey, can I buy your business?
Which if you haven't tried the cotton candy, it is amazing.
Oh, thank
like
you.
I love all of the like fun flavors.
It's so fun. There's no dyes. It's only about 35 calories. It's only like a teaspoon of sugar. Parents, like, been there. It's great.
Yeah.
And I just messaged her and said, hey, can I buy this? And she shot back, yeah. Like, how random.
Yeah, like that. But also like how cool that you were like in the back burner of your head, like
I'd been
wheels
watching
turning.
her for a while.
Yeah.
And I was just, because I didn't want to take it, because I'm a big stay in your lane girl.
Right.
But I wanted it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So did you add that on just for your weddings too? Or did you also like...
So that went immediately into its own thing.
Okay.
It was not under NWA Photo Booth. It was not under Kait Jackson Photo. And it was very, very easy because she already had built
like this,
an Instagram. She built my platform for me.
Right.
So I just posted, hey, we're restarting. And instantly, I mean, I made my money back. Can I say that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I
I
think at the end of the day, I think all of us our goal is to make money.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So I made my money back on the investment within 6 months of purchasing it from her.
That's amazing.
And it was extended beyond my clients, like my clients. It was everybody wanted it. Everybody loved it. It was great.
So, I mean, it extends even past weddings, right? Like you have like birthday, all the things
honestly,
like that.
birthdays probably take the cake.
Yeah.
In terms of who books me the most.
That is what a fun thing. I remember we had it at one of our wedding receptions and like everyone loved that because it's like a fun little treat. It's
so
just
fun. You feel like a kid.
Yes.
Like, who in the world is going to be spinning cotton candy at your wedding? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Also, the photo opportunities are so cute.
Yes, they are. So how did you like looking at you, I'm like, how did you turn all those plates? Like you are still doing a lot. Like how do you do all this?
So I'm going to start with NWA Photo Booth, which is pretty much in the hierarchy of things, my number one. I very quickly was like, I need more booths.
Okay.
In order to have more booths, I have to have people.
Right.
And so in 2022, we hired our first attendants.
Okay.
That was very scary because I am a control freak and I do not want to give people control.
But you kind of have to at that point.
You have to. In order to grow, you have to let go of some kind of control. And so I hired 2 and that quickly turned into 4 and now I have 10.
10. So, that's amazing.
And I say they're contractors. We 1099 them. They make their own schedules. It's a whole great thing. Like it's a great college job. They love it.
Yeah.
And then that turned into, well, if Matt's going to get a new job and not be with me anymore, I have to find somebody to replace him.
Right. So what does he do? Like back
so he owns a whole different business. Okay. Oh, you mean
like within your business?
So
what was he doing?
He did all of the logistics, all of the numbers. I did all of the talking, the marketing, the emailing, the pretty stuff.
Yeah.
He literally was the backbone at the end of the day to stay alive. So I needed somebody to do that job because I did not want to. That's
How hard was that to find someone?
It was hard until it wasn't.
Okay, that's good.
I was just like, I'm going to bring in one of my employees.
Okay.
Who's been with me for 2 years, almost 3 now, and taught her everything.
That's amazing.
And she was one that I could definitely trust, so I didn't have any problems like sharing information with her or anything. She's a big team player. I hate that she's graduating this year.
Oh, bummer.
Most people, if you're watching this and you work with NWA Photo Booth and you're talking to anybody, you're talking to Olivia.
Oh, yeah.
More times than not.
I feel like I've seen you on the Instagram post about her.
She talks like she is my girl. So I would say it was hard until it wasn't. Like once I was like, hey, Olivia, do you want to do this and do it? She did it and she did it well. And I got really lucky.
That is.
Because I didn't have to search.
Yeah. So what would be your like 1 year, 2 year, 5 year goal? Like how would you like
In 5 years, I'm going to be retired.
Oh, okay. Praise. Yes. We're believing that.
Manifesting it. Yeah. What is today's date? We're putting that down.
But like for NWA Photo Booth, do you want to extend to other places or what do you want?
Absolutely. So my biggest goal, and I worked on this a lot last year, and I'm hoping to actually implement early of next year, I would love to license to other places. I would love to have an NWA Photo Booth in Central Arkansas. I would love to have one in Tulsa. Those are my 2 places that I go the most other than NWA.
Okay.
So that is my, I guess, 1 year goal is having like
to where you can spread out.
Yeah. Yes. Because I feel very proud of the brand that I did build with NWA Photo Booth. And I feel super proud that it has reached beyond NWA, which I did put myself in a corner by naming it that. It was great for SEO.
Yeah.
But I really feel like even though it says NWA Photo Booth, like Central Arkansas uses me a lot, and I am so thankful for that. So,
and that has to be hard to travel all the way down there with all your stuff. Because I mean, I don't know if you've been to one of your photo booths, but like you have it like all out, like the pretty background,
it's a
like
whole thing.
It's not just like a little, here's your thing. You really like care in it or intentional.
I care so much, like so much. I can fit most everything in my car by myself, which means like my seats have to be down, my kids' car seats out, or I have to take the work van, which she's a hoot, y'all. She's a hoot.
So, you know, now you're in this side of the industry. Have you noticed that others are like, oh, this is so easy for her, and not realizing like the back end stuff that you've gone through?
Oh, yeah.
Have you noticed like people try and then they're like, oh, they're not really doing well because they didn't realize how much work was going in?
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
What would be your biggest like learning curve whenever you switched? Or even like with this that you were like, wow.
Okay. You know what? It's going to be customer relations because as a wedding photographer, I had one person that I really had to talk to. As a small business owner that extends beyond one thing, you talk to a lot of people and a lot of different people. And I think learning to manage expectations from my end and their end was the hardest learning curve.
So what do you think because I guess since I have no idea about that side of it. Like, what are the expectations? Like,
oh gosh.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, what would be like something hard that you were like, oh, that was kind of hard?
So a lot of people don't really understand photo booth. So you have to explain prints and digital, and then a lot of people don't understand that it's going to be a more selfie style than like
point and shoot.
Okay. Because I think that we live in a different world than we did whenever we had the photo booths on the 90s kiosk things.
That makes sense.
So people are not really understanding what they're getting. So having to like, that's why I'm so active on socials and like, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Because that's probably my biggest question expectation is, oh, this is smaller than I thought it would be, or just things like that. And then you have pricing expectations, which is another thing to manage. So like whenever I was shooting weddings, I was about, it's a $5,000 wedding.
Right.
I really, really cared about how my pictures looked and the experience. And then you come over to the photo booth and it's about $1,000 investment, which is still a pretty chunk of money.
Yeah.
But whenever you have that, and I'm going to say this the nicest way I can, whenever you have a $5,000 client and a $1,000 client,
different.
They have different expectations. Even if it's a different service, it's still a different expectation. So learning to manage different clienteles and what they expect with the price they're paying was the hardest part.
Zach and I talk about that all the time. Just like different, like you said, customer service and whatever we're doing, you never know what you're going to get. And you never know, like when you're dealing with someone ahead of time versus the stress of their corporate event or the wedding day, like they could be two totally different.
Absolutely. And it's a juggle sometimes, like putting on the mask. And not a mask, but like, okay, how can I serve the best that I can serve for this client?
Right.
So.
Well, at the end of the day, like, yes, you're not a wedding photographer there, but you're still capturing those like fun reception moments. That is like a big deal.
It's a big deal. It is such a big deal. I don't think people realize it. For example, I'll give the best example. My cousin just got married 2 weeks ago, and I gifted her our photo booth and watched it. I didn't work it. It wasn't manned, which hurt me. But I wanted to really enjoy the wedding. And just watching everybody flock up there and like my grandma, like all of us getting pictures, all of the grandkids hopping in with a picture with my grandma. Like I have goosebumps. It was so fun and so important. And it was important to Emma to have those photos. It was important to me to have those photos. It was important to the cousins to have those photos. It wasn't just important to the bride and groom.
Right.
Like the photo booth is so much more.
So here's my question. Obviously, like let's say someone gets your package that they get the prints, right? Like that it prints out. Do they also get digital? Like how does that work?
You
so
get
like
both.
tell me some of your packages.
So for example, I'll tell you Emma, my cousin, she got our DSLR booth, which if you are a photographer and you know the DSLR cameras, it's not even DSLR, it's actually mirrorless.
Yeah.
But people don't know what that means yet.
Yeah.
Which is our nicest booth. It's going to give you the pretty crispy photos. So she instantly got the prints.
Okay.
And she also had a guest book. So you put your prints in, the guests put their print in there, and right next to it, like, congratulations, this is wonderful. It's the best keepsake for like to take home that day.
Yeah.
And then she also gets the entire digital gallery. So what that means is every image that her guest took and she took, she will receive those at the end of the next week. Okay. So she gets the printed version and the digital version. And the cool thing about with the DSLR booth is if you see a photo strip, you know, it usually prints 2 or 3 images. So with the DSLR booth, you get that strip and you get the individual images. So if you want to like blow up those cute ones with you and your besties, it's a really good way to do it.
That is really nice. Okay, what is like a challenge? Do you have to have Wi-Fi or hotspot for that? Like, what is something that you run into that, like, at a venue? Oh my gosh, this venue doesn't have something.
Wi-Fi. In order to print, you have to have this thing called an Aircast Pro. Do you know what that is? Okay, so I don't know if anybody outside of the photo booth world knows, because I don't know what else you'd use it for.
Right.
If you do not have an Aircast Pro, you will not be able to print. Okay. Fun fact. That is the biggest thing photo boothers run into. They're like, why will it not print? Well, this is why.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that. And then you need Wi-Fi in order to connect your Aircast Pro to the Wi-Fi, to your iPad. I mean, you get all the connection things. So if a venue has Wi-Fi, that's great. Okay. I really appreciate that. If you don't have Wi-Fi, please go buy hotspots. Like, I have so many hotspots because I will not be there and be, oh, whoops, there's no Wi-Fi here.
In a position where you're like, oh my gosh. And I feel like that's why you have to hire a professional. Because what if your person was just like, I'm going to start a photo booth tomorrow. And then, hello.
There's so many things that you will run into that you don't think about until you run into it. Thankfully, my very first event was at an open house, and they had terrible Wi-Fi. And my iPad, we used the iPad-based booth, did not have cell service on at the time. I was only using it as a Wi-Fi connected one. Another good lesson learned, get cellular. Well, this place did not have Wi-Fi whatsoever. So I could take the picture, but it would not send. And then a lot of the back end parts of it wouldn't save. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. It was a good learning experience.
It was a great learning lesson. I'm glad I learned it when I did.
Yes. And in an open house, it's like not detrimental.
And it wasn't a big open house. So I felt like, okay, I didn't ruin my brand new baby.
So going back to wedding photography, what is something that like you loved about the job or you hated about the job or...
We love to hate the job, but we love people. We hate to, you know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're trying to say.
Okay. I loved wedding days as much as people would be like, actually, wedding days are really scary. The first one was scary, and then it became a formula. And it was fun. Like, just watching people. My favorite question to ask the groom, are you nervous? And the favorite question to ask the bride, are you nervous? And they always say yes.
And
why?
I know, it's like the best day of your life.
Like, and it's so cute and pure. And I don't know why I love that moment so much, but that was my favorite thing to ask. Yes, I'm nervous. Why? Like, we all know what's going to happen at the end of this day.
You've been planning for this for how long?
And it's so cute and pure that they're just nervous.
Yeah. What would be like one part of a wedding day that you could take away? Like, if you could take it away, you're like, I don't want to do that part of the wedding day.
Editing.
Amen.
No. If I could take away a part of the wedding day, I don't think that receptions need to be as long as they are in order for like the photographer to be like, let me be there for an hour and I'll get what I need.
I always say that. I'm like, when I'm booked for like 3 hours of dancing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
what am I I can only get so much.
Well, it's like, it's the same. And then sometimes you only have the same people dancing, but then you also feel like they've paid me to be here. So I don't want to like be sitting, but like, I'm not even going to use this.
Yes. It's so I feel like if I could change anything, it would be maybe educating the couple that you really don't need me there for 3 hours. These 3 hours could be used so much better in this way. Actually, I wish I would have thought about that sooner because I really I feel like sometimes they waste their money. And waste is not the right way to say it, but you know what I mean.
You could transition it to somewhere else that would be better.
Much better. Or even like, I know a lot of people don't like the fake exits because people leave then.
Right.
But we don't go, like, let's just get rid of exits, you guys. Like,
exits, or even like Because I feel like a better one instead of an exit, which I've kind of noticed this year people doing, is like getting everyone on the dance floor and like doing something on the dance floor where like now you've gotten everyone on the dance floor.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so
Cute.
yeah, like this literally Saturday they had a little popper thing or whatever go off. So they had everyone on the dance
that's so
floor and they
fun.
did a popper. And I'm like, okay, now you've actually gotten people who have been sitting down on the dance floor. They might stay and dance. And now no one feels like, well, I have to go. Like the night's still going on.
That's perfect.
I really liked that.
I mean, also, like, if I could take away one specific thing, it would be sparklers.
I knew you were going to say that.
Sparkler exits, y'all. Every time I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to give all these drunk people a talk about pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
And we do not hold them straight out. We hold them up. Do not stamp on them.
I know. I joke all the time. I'm like, there needs to be like a driver's license for sparklers.
Really?
Like, we need to pass the test.
Yep. Like, blow in the blow and go before you get your sparkler lit.
Yes. Oh, sorry, you've passed the
You
limit.
can't. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we had a groomsman one time that was like wasted. He's holding the sparkler, and all of a sudden you see the sparkler go, his whole body he went like, he didn't even like bend his body. He just went blah, right to the ground.
Oh, bless his heart. I
know.
I mean, I hope he's okay.
Oh yeah, he was fine. I mean, luckily I think he had enough in him that it didn't
He
even
didn't
hurt.
feel it. He was
Nope,
ready to go.
nope. Have you had any like crazy wedding stories?
Oh, I have a horror story.
Okay, tell me.
Okay. Cool. This was one of my very first weddings I ever shot by myself. And I was so excited. And the bride ended up having like a stomach bug that day. What can you do? You can't cancel your wedding. And then I went to the groom's quarters and they were pretty toasty, if you know what I mean. And they were having a good time. It was fun, whatever. And I could tell the groom was a little bit off. Really tense, and we were going to do the first look, and I was like, oh, she's so pretty, we're just talking about it, and make sure like you hype her up, like just make her feel beautiful. And he stopped me, put his arms on me, and said, you will not tell me what to do on my wedding day.
Silence.
The second shooter with me was like, I mean, both of us were kind of waiting for a ha-ha.
Right, like, JK.
And so at the end of the day, I asked her, I was like, did I say or do anything wrong? Because, like,
Right.
I preach customer service. Like,
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I don't know what happened. And I was like, me either. Anyways, found out he didn't even want that. He wanted to elope. Like, he wanted nothing to do with that day.
Which is like a key to do what, like, your day, don't make it like what everyone else's expectations.
I eloped.
We only had to like 25 people at our
Perfect.
wedding. Like,
Weddings are what you make them.
wow, that is such a sad moment. But like, also, it's like he didn't enjoy his day. Hopefully you enjoyed your day, you know?
I did in a sense, because my whole day I was like, what did I do wrong? Like,
Right. Thinking it's you and it's really not.
And especially as like, one of your intro weddings, you're like,
You're like, okay, throw in the towel now.
I mean, pretty much I was like 2 weddings in and I was like, just kidding. This isn't for me.
JK, I'm not doing this anymore. Hey guys, just wanted to take a brief pause in the episode to tell you thank you for supporting our podcast. It would mean the world to us if you could subscribe to whatever platform you are listening on. Let's get back to the episode.
I have had an entire, what are they called? Hard drive.
Oh my gosh. Just don't even say that. I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah.
Seriously? What did you do?
I cried. No, I immediately because it kept making that noise whenever it doesn't connect and you freak out. So I just took it out, didn't touch it, emailed the people. I sent it in to them. It was still under warranty, so they did it all for free. They recovered 95% of the images. Granted, a handful of images in the wedding that I was just editing was not in there, but you would never know in the gallery. And that was a good learning lesson of don't clear your card until the wedding is delivered. So you have like multiple backups to the backup to the backup.
Right.
So like obviously back your photos up, but keep the card.
Yeah, that's so smart. I've seen people keep their cards in like medicine.
I bought a
little
thingy after that. Yeah. Because I was so scared.
That is such a good tip. What is something that had happened to you at a wedding day, which could be photo booth or photographer, that's like it stuck out, that was such a like sweet moment, or something that happened during the wedding you were like, oh my gosh, like you still remember it to this day?
So I was just at a wedding. The very last wedding that I shot was for my best friend. LOL, it was like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And
But she's retired.
But I am retired. I only did it for him. And his mom bought this little handkerchief whenever they were in Italy, whenever he was 17.
Okay.
And said, I'm going to give this to your future wife one day. Now, if you know my friend, he was never getting married, ever. He's 33 now. And finally decided to get married, and it was this big deal. So his mom has had this handkerchief
For a while.
And it was from Italy, and it was her something blue. And she
So
gave it to her on the
cute.
wedding day. And it sounds kind of not like a big deal, but if you just knew their relationship of, I love you so much, but we're never getting married,
Yeah.
to where they are now, it was just like, I cannot believe your mom still had this. even
Yeah, that
after-
she didn't lose hope.
Yeah, that she never lost hope.
Yeah. So let's talk about, you are obviously talking about 7 streams of income. You're an entrepreneur. Like, I feel like just listening to you, there's no way you could just go to a 9 to 5 job.
Absolutely not.
Like, you would just be put in a box, all these things. But at the same time, do you struggle with hustle culture? Like,
Yeah.
tell me about
So
that.
hustle culture is something that I was behind for years. Like, yes, hustle, go. How hard can you work? How fast can you make that money? All of that stuff. My child is 5. I'm kind of over the hustle culture. I worked so hard and I hustled so hard in so many areas and loved it. I wouldn't trade those experiences at all. I think that if you have an entrepreneurial mindset and the room for that kind of growth at that kind of pace, go for it. And always have in the back of your mind, like, hustle culture, it doesn't have to be forever.
I feel like before you have a kid versus after you have a kid, you realize, and then even like going to the wedding day, I'm like, I'm not that much older than most bride and grooms that we're
Yes.
marrying, but yet it happens so fast. I'm like, my kid's going to be that age one day.
Yes. And I think about that every time.
All the time.
And it totally put it into perspective later on. Like, I mean, I tell people all the time, I missed the first 3 years of my kid's life, which I hate. But
that's not, like what you're saying is not uncommon because like same, like I blinked and I'm like, how do I have a 9 and 7 1-year-old? Like
yes,
where did the
time go?
Yeah.
But I feel like although we as entrepreneurials, come on, Caitlin, we do live in this hustle mindset all the time because I think it is truly, it might be different for you. We don't know our paycheck ever.
Absolutely. So we're like, okay, I feel like it's like, we can't, it's hard to find that balance of like,
you can't, there will never be a balance ever, period, point blank. Those people that tell you work-life balance, like good for you, good for y'all's conversations, but it's not attainable because at one point you will have to be a 70-30.
right.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to
Or
put
it's like,
70%
oh my gosh,
in.
we're making so much. Oh my goch, we're making 0. Oh my gosh, we're making so much. You know, it is.
But you have to lean into which side is it? Is it your work life that you need to put that 70% into? Or is it your home life that you need to put that 70% into? And they will constantly balance each other. So I think that's where the term work-life balance comes from. It doesn't mean 50-50. That's just my personal take.
So you have a 5-year-old. I have a 7 and 9-year-old. Is he to the age yet where like he's, mommy, you're working a lot, or like
He used to at 3.
Okay.
Mom, why are you going again? Mom, it's the weekend. Why am I leaving?
Right. On the fun parts. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just remember waking up probably a year ago and being like, oh my gosh, I don't get to spend Saturday mornings with my kid really. And that's like the most hurtful part.
Yeah.
It's not even like oh, I wish I didn't work so hard. It's
Right.
oh, my kid noticed. Like,
Yeah.
oh, my heart.
Yeah.
So
I know. I feel like for us, like we have those conversations with our kids, like, well, we're really busy right now because like Zach and I are both, self-employed. So I'm like, right now is like a really tough season. Right now is a really busy season, but like at this point, we're gonna have a break. You know, like
I think that's great.
to like kind of let them know, but also I'm like, I don't want them to ever think of like all my parents do is work.
Yes, that's a big fear because I feel like even as a child of a parent who did do a 9 to 5, I still thought all my parent does is work.
Yeah.
So like
So I feel like we're hard on ourselves, but it's probably the same.
for any experience whenever it comes to work. But I do definitely think like if you ever have that feeling of I'm working too much, think about, like, why do you have that feeling? Think about it.
So when you're having that feeling, like, I know you said you're a control freak. I'm a control freak. I get that. Like, once you started delegating like other roles to other people, where you're like, this is nice.
Oh my gosh.
That you're now like a pro, like delegate.
I can delegate pretty good. There's some times where it's hard for me because being a boss is hard. Like, I want to be your friend. I don't want to be your boss. But now that I've like figured out how much freedom that can give me, wow.
Right. So is that kind of like your end goal, is just to keep growing to a point to where, like you said,
like my 5-year goal would be 80% hands off.
That's amazing.
I don't know if I'll get there, but I'm really trying. Like, to be 80% hands off by the time that I'm 35 in a business, like I feel like that's a big goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like it's attainable.
But I feel like you could do it for sure. And then also people listening, if you're in Central Arkansas.
I am looking to license.
Or Tulsa?
Tulsa, Central Arkansas. I mean, I would even go up to like Joplin, Missouri.
Yeah. But like, I feel like you have already, for someone who's like maybe wanting to do something like that, and yet you come with like all this wealth of knowledge.
Yes. You'll have everything that I have at your fingertips.
Yes. What a good way to like
send someone off. You can't fail. You can fail. Yes. But I mean, like, I'm giving you the materials that you need.
I'm setting you up for success. It depends on what you do with it.
Where's your accent from?
I'm from Louisiana.
Okay.
That's so funny that I have an accent.
That really got me there. You said depend on, and I was like, oh, where are you from?
That is so funny. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, Louisiana.
That's cute. Not cute. Like, I hate saying that, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Okay, awesome. So I feel like, do we have any other stories before we wrap it up? Any other things that we want to
do? Hot takes?
Sure. Do you have any specific hot takes?
I think wedding cakes are dumb. Do you think wedding cakes are dumb?
I love sweets.
No. The act of the cutting of the wedding cake.
Okay, I think it's silly to have the fake wedding cake.
Yeah, but girl, if you're going to have that wedding cake, get the whole cake.
Yeah, and like they only have this little sliver to cut from.
But it's because of the pricing.
I know.
But I still want to know, how much does that cost? Because they're still very elaborately done.
Oh, yeah. I would say, what would be something I think is
have you interviewed a cake girl yet?
No, I want to.
Stephanie, Cake Occasion, where are you at?
Right. Let's see. What do I think?
I mean, it'd have to be like $400, $500 still, right?
Oh, God, I think more.
Yeah,
I think people spend
am I underdoing this?
I think people spend like $1,500, $1,800, like,
even if they're fake.
Well, because a lot of times they're not going to like Harps to get a sheet cake. A lot of times those people are still doing sheet cakes, and they did all of that design on there. You know what I mean? It's not just like, here's 3 designs to pick from. They're still designing. What is that font? Whatever.
They're great at what they do.
Yeah.
I bet. If we're going to get a cake, get a real cake.
Right.
Or don't cut the cake. I think that's this is a hot take. I think it's awkward as heck. Why do we have, like, that is such an old tradition. Hate it. Double hate, loathe entirely.
Right. I don't like it when like the DJ announces for everyone to come watch them cut the cake.
So awkward.
I'm just like, I don't like that. I don't like the bouquet garter tosses.
I don't like the garter toss. But I mean, like, sometimes I get hilarious pictures and videos, but I still feel real awkward.
Yeah. It's not
even awkward's not the right word. Just like, why?
Yeah. I also don't like it when couples do things because they feel like they have to do things.
Absolutely.
Or when they even ask you like, oh, do I have to do this? I'm like,
or should we do? And I'm like, girl, it's your day.
Yeah.
Like, you do what you want.
Yeah, I agree with that, because it's like you were talking about, it's written all over one of their faces. Like, they're not enjoying it.
Have you ever had a bride really, or groom, hate their wedding? Like, just actively share, like, I'm not having a good day.
Huh. Definitely. We've had grooms that don't want to do like the couples portraits because they're hungry. And I remember I've like gone, them like, well, let's go eat and then come back to this.
Absolutely.
You know? And because I'm all about like, we have a timeline, but I want you to enjoy your day. And everyone else in the group, when I mentioned that, was like, no, we'll keep going. And I'm like,
but why?
Exactly. Because I'm like, we have the time. Like, let's let him be in a good mood and not be hangry, and we'll get way better stuff, because right now his face is not happy.
He's not into it. He doesn't want to wrap her up and love her. He wants to devour that chicken nugget.
Exactly.
Like, come on. Let him have the chicken nugget.
Exactly. So that's my biggest thing, is like, do what you want, which I know you're the same way. Do what you want on your wedding day.
Do what you want. Okay, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
How do you feel about this new transition of timeline-less days.
What do you mean?
Okay, so at least in the photographer world, there's a huge push of just basically showing up and documenting the day. There's no such thing as a timeline.
Okay. I love a timeline because I love to keep us on schedule. Now, I'm not going to be like, we're 1 minute late. You better, wrap it up. Not like that. But I do love to be like, I mean, at the end of the day, we have a ceremony to get to.
Yeah. Yes.
And I hate whenever makeup runs late because that's
usually where most of the hangups get.
And not only that, they're running late. They are not reading a room. And I'll be like, I need the bride right now. Oh, I need to take a picture of them on your iPhone. And I'm like,
you're like, I will get the video or the picture for you.
I'm like, the photographer is going to take amazing pictures of her out there. Use those, but like, don't hold up the bride and now she's missing some key moments.
Very key moments. And then the other thing is, let me just talk about the bridal room. They always want those cutesy getting ready stuff, all that makeup in the background. And then they're like, oh, I didn't know that was all behind me in those photos. And I'm like, I literally had to maneuver myself to get like the least amount in the photo. Like, we love a good bride. I mean, we love a good makeup artist and a hair girl.
Yeah.
We need them.
Yeah.
I think maybe we all need to have a team meeting, all vendors, before the wedding day.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea.
Hop on a call together
and be like, okay, here's the timeline. This is how the day's going to go.
Yeah. Now,
I think we just fixed everything.
Exactly. I don't think a no timeline day is for every couple. I think a lot of couples are, I feel like, more stressed. Well, okay, if you didn't have a timeline, I feel like all day they would be looking at you like, am I doing it right? Am I missing anything? So I feel like that's a good way for them to know we've done family portraits. We've done, so I see beauty in it in elopements.
Good point.
Because we're not on a time, it's like, you're 30 minutes late to the ceremony. Who cares?
Yeah, that's how my day was.
Exactly. So I feel like elopements, you shouldn't really have you should have goals, but not like a timeline.
Goal is a good way to put that.
But for a 250 person wedding,
there has to be
some organization.
Which I also lean on, like, there has to be a planner. How do you feel about that?
Okay. I feel one of two ways. Either don't waste your money or use a good chunk of your budget to a good planner, because we have had a few planners. Sydney and I worked with one planner that actually the bride asked us to ask her to leave at the reception. It was that bad. She made the bride cry in front of everyone at her reception. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so did you do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Oh, absolutely. We were like, I definitely think it's time. I think we can finish it from here. Like, I think it's time for you to go. Because she was so mad that the bride wasn't sticking to her timeline. Now, I will say, after a ceremony, I don't care about the timeline.
Yeah, no, I just need it up until
the ceremony. After the ceremony, it is all free game. If we need to move, we move. We need to pivot, whatever. Because there's no time restraints. No, in my opinion.
It's at that point, it's like,
yeah,
like it's a take the bra off. Like that. Yes. That's what that type of day.
Yes.
After the ceremony is the take the bra off time.
Yes, absolutely. So after that, but the planner was like so type A that the bride wanted to do something and the planner like went off on her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like,
okay. I'm not, like you said, yes, I love a planner, but it's their day. Let them have their day. Yeah. There's no right way to have a wedding.
No.
And I feel like it's hard to say that because you and I have done so many weddings. There are very strict timelines. Like, but then at the end of the day, there's no right way to have a wedding. If somebody wanted to do their family portraits at 8 a.m. in the morning, let's do them, sister.
As long as the hair and makeup gets there on time.
Yeah. We're looking at you.
Yeah. I know it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like every vendor is so vital. Even photo booth, like every vendor, and it's worth it. Like, I feel like that could be where someone's like, oh, I can't splurge on that, but you really can.
I mean, I could truly go on a diatribe about it. I know that as a photo booth, it's one of those, do I really need it in my budget? It's a filler thing. And I understand that. Absolutely. Yeah. If you have the room for it in your budget, I am so like passionate about photo booth. Yes. You're not going to ever regret it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you're never going to be like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have had a photo booth.
I think any extras at the reception for your guest, like obviously the photo booths for bride and groom too, but like how you can entertain them and keep them there, and they're not, okay, you've done the cake, I'm leaving, like.
And they love it. They love a photo booth.
Oh my gosh. What? Y'all also do that spinny thing.
Oh, the 360 photo booth.
That is so fun.
That is so fun. Shot myself in the foot with getting that.
Why?
Because I bought the biggest platform. You know, bigger is better. Mm-hmm. And I had to buy a work van specifically for that reason.
Oh, but it's so fun because we did it at one of the open houses, and I think we got like 5 or 6 people in there.
Yes, you did. I remember seeing your video. Matt was working that one for me.
Yes, yeah.
My really good friend Emily with Alpha Lit NWA did the letters behind
it. Yes.
Disco ball letters. Those were really cool.
Yeah.
Love that booth. It is the easiest booth to put up out of all of mine. You would never believe that.
Okay.
A lot of people have me travel to Central Arkansas specifically for the 360.
I feel like that is such a fun one. It's such a good way to like
incorporate the dance.
Fun booth. Photo booth is fun too, but like that is like, I could see a lot of people like tearing that up, like having so much fun.
I had a bride probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. She booked the 360. She was so excited for it, but she was so upset because she didn't have enough room for the other photo booths.
Yeah.
And she got married at Osage.
Okay.
So like, imagine, like that place was filled up if there wasn't room.
Right.
But it was some of the best photo booth videos I've ever seen in a gallery. They had so much fun, and I think it brings a whole different aspect into photo booth because now these people get moving pictures of people on their wedding
and they're
day.
moving, like trying to make it more fun too.
And it's so I always thought the more silly you are, the better this video is going to be. And then people loosen up after a few drinks, and it's a great time.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like everything that we've talked about has been great.
It's been good.
Yeah,
it's been
thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Have you told them yet where they can find you?
No.
Okay.
So you can find me on NWAphotobooth.co, as these are falling off my head. And Instagram is NWA Photo Booth, Lemon and Puff. Kait Jackson Photo, but I use that as just my personal. So if you want to just follow along on my random antics.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, of just being an entrepreneurial mom wife. Come join the party.
Perfect. So for Lemon and Puff, can they like pick their flavors?
Oh yeah, we have like 14 flavors. My favorite is lemon.
Lemon, there you go.
It is lemon. Birthday cake or wedding cake is the next favorite.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
All right.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. All right. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
As we finish this episode, we want to say a big thank you to all of the support on our podcast. You can find us at Black Tie Opt Podcast. We are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you so much for supporting our podcast.